Well, good morning. As we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful morning, Tuesday morning, August 6th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there to make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept called public access as we contemplate and see the ins and outs of that which we as human beings, part of a society, a community, a neighborhood, find ourselves to need as an imperative, as a code of conduct, as a level of commitment, and as the sustainability. Uh, uh, and I would call it more like that voice that you were supposed to hear that that did not materialize, and then you were actually finding yourself filling it up with pure action, and that pure action is just a joy to experience and a joy to comprehend. And we just finished hanging a show called Echoes Unveiled with Fanny Lin and Victor Kerpel. Really solid, good-looking, balanced show, and that's something to be reckoned with, especially when you see it day in and day out. There's some, in addition to the fact that it's powerful and it's fully balanced, displayed on the walls. It's also a living, like a living process you where you one. Why is it not working? Oh yeah, actually it is working. Yeah, this one is yeah. Okay. Um, um, I guess you can see it as um, a point of reference that yeah, I don't know. I guess most of us will think that we have what it takes in order to put a cap on the situation and or um, envision a strategy that will get you there faster with the least amount of pain and confusion. But in the same token, you realize that the way that leads you to that point, that mental, emotional point, is 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 the way that will require you to be um, alternative and promising and um, predictable, consistent, and also just a way to expedite your feelings, but in the same token, you want to be sure that you are standing in the spot that's closest possible to to actual engagement, so that you don't have to feel that you're wasting your time mostly traveling from point A to point B, and being left with so little time to. Uh, so you're always living on the border between make believe, wishful thinking, and actual fermentation of that feeling and of that desire. So you see the images, they travel, they travel as they see fit. And for some reason, at the end of the day, it will be all about you and up to you whether and if indeed that which you yearn for so much will materialize. And yeah, well, you know what? Most of us artists, when it comes to painting, it's it's a joy to realize that this universal aspect of how should I say an eruption of goodness and a promotion of that basic that basic feeling of where you end up without measuring the distance that keeps you away from it and the distance that makes sure that you get closer to it. So in that sense, I was more like trying to put together an approach to, and it's not like really reading, but being reminded that these guidelines are just fantastic when it comes to, um, oh yeah. So this is just a little touch and go where the surreal poem a transformation, you know. So it's and you it's like you hear yourself tell yourself, you know, hold on, it really isn't ever as it seems at first, you know. So it's like by the time you get to a point where you can sit and say and contemplate, okay, let's see what's going on, let's see what we achieve, let's see what's happening, this and that. And you realize that A, it's too late to make any changes, and B, even in order to understand what you already achieved and make sense and this and that, takes a lot. So it's like you don't want to be caught unprepared in certain situations, and this is one of them. So in this situation where everything is on the scale, everything is on the is a fair game, so to speak. And it speaks about substandards and um, a reality where this you you allow disbursements, uh, gap closures, and it's all shuddering. It's like a swing rush, a swing rush. That's a good way to find your balance, even though you carry it along with you all the time and it never went missing. But it's a swing rush. Yeah. And then you go into like a phrase that holds the pelvis in that scenario, in that sketch. So it's haste, as haste, pool, haste as haste, pool, have been had, it not reached out. So, you know, you speak of, think about André Breton from almost 100 years ago. Just imagine 1925, I think, or 29, 25, yeah. André Breton writes a small book about surrealism. And in the extent of his modernism, his advanced new ageness in a very primitive time, even though it was in the United States, but still, maybe it was actually in Europe. The world was 100 years older. I mean, 100 years, like, might as well say, since then, the progress can be measured by about 500 years of progress. But anyway, so he was sitting there and talking and creating and painting and writing, whatever he was doing, until he reached to a point where he said, well, this makes sense the way I know that it does, and so many other things. So I'm going to put it together on the page, and I'm going to call it this and that. I'm going to title it. I'm going to just speak it as it is, say it as it is. I'm going to and then revisit it and then refine it and then see what's best at first, the three, which number is which, and all of these things that make sense in the capacity that they make sense, and you don't realize that it's actually a, a situation that, due to your attention to details, that leads you to believe that certain practices are highly recommended. So you guaranteed some kind of a level of camaraderie with the forces of nature that will be next to you, especially in moments of need, not on a regular basis, but when you really need it. You'll be pleasantly surprised to realize that actually you're getting the help to make sure that you're gonna wake up to live to see another day. It's like explaining to yourself through trying to explain to a 5-year-old or a 9-year-old. Even if you're the example that people are pointing out to and saying, "Okay, you will be my point of reference because you're steady, you're composed, you're talented, you're willing, you're pleasant, you're flexible, you're thoughtful, you're selfless, you're brilliant, you're intelligent, and you're social." Um, and I'm going to use you as my personal reference. It's not like they're asking for permission. It's just they're telling you first why they would, and then they tell you that they will. And so you stand there in front of the 5-year-old and the 9-year-old, knowing that they're going to do what they will not be able to help themselves not to do. So it's not uh, like a no-brainer. So when they want to translate their understanding of certain things that take them a certain way in certain direction, they will be aided by the image that they have in front of them. It happens to be you as their father, their family, friend, uncle, someone, something, some energy, um, and it will always be available, and will it does it would if we get to a point where it doesn't have to be active, it can just continue to survive and be effective, still nevertheless being passive. It's just there because this power, this energy is available, just available because it's available, not because there's a need out there in the shape of you, one of many that is in need of it. Therefore, it just only makes sense that some of it will be available, but rather independently to serve their own purposes. Every little item, if they come together to form puzzles that speak for a concept and a philosophy and whatnot, which actually you will find out quickly enough that thousands of them exist and nothing new about them, but still, nevertheless, when you want to decipher it, you realize that everyone has a unique voice, and how lovely and how beneficial and how challenging and how exciting, things like that. And you get to the bottom of it. What does it really mean to get to the bottom of it in this instance? Is that you are really wanting to remind yourself and be reminded by the very fact that this is a a this is the kind of appreciation that will take place on the behalf of the decision making process, and of course the attitude as it forms. So if it says that this is the actually you know substandard and allowing a disbursement, let alone the weak part of gap closures, even though shuddering a swing rush, haste as haste pull, have been had it not reached outfoxed, which slurs speak easy by the shadows decorating a cerebral cleansing as it's my own his temptations to see her eye to eye, and it takes a bit of normalcy to flee and take a six-way shot and bring it on with the sneak preview and a song to remind and be reminded, lastly, to an extreme, pulled to an extreme, not even a death of a part or haste to blip and move on forward. So you say to yourself, actually, it's really, if you think about it, just as good or as better or as otherwise. Um, if you go to the other notebook on a different page and you see the scenario of making that left turn instead of the one I just shared with you, which is making the right turn, and it says underneath substandard dispersals, shadows slip, a lullaby for the weak gaps, closing in whispers, shuddered steering swings rush through hazy mirrors. Shuddered steering swing rush through hazy mirrors. Haste's tug of war had nearly reached out, nearly. Outfoxed whispers glide, speakeasy silent echoes. Shadows dance, decorating a cerebral cleansing. Temptation waltzes, his own, hers eye to eye. Normalcy flees, a six-way shot spirals in flight. A sneak preview twinkles, a song to recall and forget. Drawn to the extremes, the pull of the unseen. The pull of the unseen, not even death's fragment or haste's fleeting blip. Forward, forward, the surreal tide presses on. So the extent of our readiness, because it's funny. You can write something really wonderful, powerful, appealing, and then in the same token, you can show complete ignorance of your own material, that you so abruptly, so suddenly not aware that actually A, you wrote it, B, you ought to be able to understand and be able to relate to it even without the need altogether to explain or to be. You don't need to be educated about the materials that you yourself wrote, especially when it comes to poetry, because it's touch and go, and you know, uh, and that game, the ongoingness of that game is a yeah. So I really I wanted to continue with the way that we. It's funny how we get to a point when we have to read a release form, and there's so much creativity relies and exist adjacent to that reality that's full of colors, shapes, and configurations of shapes and proximity of placement and whatnot, and and you just want to say, please don't delay, not this time, not now, please don't delay. And thinking that these matters are already wrapped around the arms of the artist's sleeve, and be as welcome some clichéness into your life, by let the blossoms extend, and blushing as they fend for themselves, and in addition to that also and then let all the remarks echo, and as they echo in the snippets of expression, like before the mesh of reality flattens loud and clear. So you it's like the home front is blend, as they should. Home fronts blend in the in this equation of belongingness, and this is all right, really in contrary to silence. You find yourself actually um, yes, blinking tight. All these farewells that are taking place, uh, like an epic introduction that works against us because quickly enough we cannot live up to it. But you kneel like you just about to propose, and and exalted and toasted at the edge of no return. So this is just like fractions of things that you can only think about and express out loud, and you need a super skilled entity next to you to document it. Yes, who wants to be busy with documentation? Yeah, you like to document, but you don't like to be the person who actually does the writing. Uh, Performance is kind of enough, especially if your performance is acceptable. So, in that sense, you tell yourself that edge of no return. It actually is dispersed around us in abundance, and yeah, we can accept it just by not pushing it away. We're kind of indirectly making it ours, even though we don't have to declare it every moment, which is not a good idea at all. Not a bad idea at all to mention it as often as possible in that sense. But through these means of superiority, supposedly that superiority is something that you invent. It's a part of your life and about certain things that only you know about, and they belong to you 100%. And you're like securing like a red-faced queue, and that important queue where everybody uh, on their edges can't wait to get through, to be looking back and see that we've done it. And then later on, we need a couple of years to realize whether how well it was or how close we got, and 2 years later you can start evaluating yourself, and that's actually a very rewarding feeling. And you start your dreams start becoming like new age dreams, and at least you know something is working right when that happens, when you have that new age, when it lingers endlessly, uh, and that's beyond the unknown twists and turns, you know, of slow, perplexing dimensions. And that's just as we ponder, is with um, we maybe have an ability to recollect a note, especially a musical note, even though you can be far away from understanding music or playing music, but still that note is a privilege that we all have, that we can always kind of pick one up. Um, and this is as you ponder the options of cessations, and that's not a joke. Actually, at this point, it's very crucial. It's not random. It's actually planned and full of reason, and in that sense, that the options of cessation. Then just imagine that dry, um, dry knowledge is leading the dance now. I mean, take a note of that. That's actually a great sentence, because it tells you that even the things that you don't want to mess with, you still are allowed to think about it. Keep it close to your chest. Keep it to yourself, and remind yourself with certain things that are not a bad idea to be reminded by: obligations, chores, responsibilities, time to create, time to love, time to provide, time to work, time to sleep, time to socialize, time to have your voice being heard, time to listen to other people's voices. We know, um, just kind of a level of steady as she goes normalcy that we so yearn. Uh, yeah, yeah. Dry knowledge is leading the dance by now. Actually, it's a great image to think about: dry knowledge leading the dance. And you know, playing with circular motions, and luring, 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 as from the center to the periphery, right and tide, right and tide. Actually, this can be a great title to an art show: right and tide, with exceptions. Blooming within the stable confinement, something like that. And like a dramatic drum roll in there, somewhere there, accompanied by by a crawl of direct addresses, and dreamlike in its final fluency, a symbol of ending, driving to a peak at the last twist, outsmarting the cycle, spinning endlessly. But that's that's in the midst of an unseen grassroots. It's boiling with intensity. That's exactly a great, accurate description. Boiling with intensity, encountering grains and a touch of cleanliness, is maintaining that low level of hope, but at least hope nevertheless, uh, and it's sudden and full, and senses of belongingness, uh, just simple fractions, and of the repeating blasts. I like to call it this way: the repeating blasts. Forget about it. And stumbling individuals, just imagine them. And rhythms scratched softly, profoundly, uh, wearing years of acceleration, embracing ruggedness, like the embrace of that which is rugged, kind of thing. Uh, and all these tales of TALES, tales of uh, yeah, these tales are recounted sensibly, and the drum beats. These are your own drum beats. It's something you don't hear; you really feel it. Air slicing with drenched decisions. It's all about decisions. They keep on repeating. It comes back to the beginning as soon as its head is cut off or something, and um, and then signaling with private gestures, uh, and finding yourself closer and closer, because that's inevitable also. The question is that even with that closeness and goodness, doesn't mean that the challenge changes its face. The same level of intensity when it comes to this challenge. And this is all until parting minute spreads a notion. It's like when people think about something complex and meaningful, maybe profound, maybe more than they know to what extent. So until you get to the point where it parts itself, literally finding itself being cut open in half. Well, I shouldn't say cut. You just like a tear, like a gentle tear. And when they say that to you, uh, until you get to the point where you can just tear a little bit, that uh, take 1 minute and tear it in half, and then and, and by doing so, you're allowing it to spread its own notions. Now, the story behind it, the meaning behind it, the relevance behind it, it's so premature now to talk about, even to even think about. But you want to think about that moment that you can just tear open in half and let it spread as a notion, like a melody to sing along, to distract the crowd and making them realize that they're actually singing along, something they never thought they would do, or they even believe that they can do. And so all this is really drama filled. It's drama filled. We're filled with that. It's like, but luckily for us, it's, you can say, yet sublime. I love to think that there's a way to embark from this journey, then to have those senses being awakened, because that's the way you would anticipate for it to be. And indeed, it proves that more likely than not, that it will actually. And then there's this the scent of that which you're deprived of is fading, and it's already in the distance, and you're not moving, so you see it getting away from you pretty fast, and then we go to the territory where you start thinking about zone fixed, ZONE FIXED, zone fixed, and that's like teeth grinding, zone fixed, teeth grinding. This is actually, if you're a painter and if you can think trying to paint a painting the way I think in trying to bring these whatever that I'm doing together, you will come up with the most incredible out of this world painting. And that's actually what if I sit here and I don't have a guest and I say, I'm going to spend an hour with you, I'm experimenting freely without any interruptions or disruptions. It's just there. I mean, there's no way I can find myself after this monologue, so to speak, speaking to you, that I feel like I'm a loser, or I feel terrible, or I feel like it's going to be, it's going to be zone fixed, teeth grinding. It, and I don't know why the word crock came to mind. I don't even know if it's a word, CROCK, in that all this counts on the crock, and then it allows to dreams unfold, of course. And that's a gamble worth sorting through. And you know what? In the gentle rain of this gathering, you are gathering courage. And then you stand out, and you find out that you stand out. And it's like a beacon of wholesomeness and availability. It's your moment arrives. Exhaling to cleanse the remnants of left behind. You want to say, yeah, okay, just remnants. And that which is left behind is going down the slippery slope with fervor. I love the word fervor. I don't even know why I love this word, but I love the word fervor. FERVOR. And you begin to start hating the notion of self-inflicting pain. You really do. I can say that about myself too. It's like, yeah, let me be a little poetic. I once reached out my hand to touch your head in the darkness. It's like a silent greeting. It's like a silent greeting halfway. And like a whisper of God is in your heart. It must be, so you want to call and say, do it for her so she can do it for me. Something like this. If you were to think the way I think, in such a confusing fashion, believe me, the superpower that created you and I understands everything. It really does. Forget about religion. Religion is a invention of luxury. To be able to be, feel, and act and behave religious, you have to be like there, like solid, whatever. And it doesn't matter which religion. You're just like so so before this recognition dawned on whomever is involved, and merging us in an instant. The echo lingers uh, and granting wishes long after my reply. And then I found you in your own light. I found you in your own light. That you're actually in this kind of in in the inside the vortex as vortex itself. That you realize that you are that vortex because you're from within to solid top layer holding it together. And you're lost in the vortex of your own creation. That's what I wanted to say. We are lost in the vortex of our own creation. And then we're not losers, we're just lost, which is good. The longer we are lost in this scenario, the stronger and more prepared and qualified we will come out of the other end. That's the good news. And erasing your name from the charts of generations past. I don't know why that will take place, but I can live with that in a way because you come out with something fresh, yet conservative enough and traditional enough, and things of that sort. So it cannot be that bad. But when it works, man, it would be a joy to experience. And but yet you scrubbed on, surrendering to faith whim, WHIM, and FAITH whim, faith whim. I can't even speak English, and I'm thinking about faith whim. But imagine it, digest it, write it down. FAITH WHIM. Solid. So okay, so it you the way it will be rating, like you're scrubbing on and you're surrendering to faith's whims until you suddenly intervene, even though you intervene with your own ordeals, and suddenly you intervene, and yeah, and you're pulling you back from the brink, and we don't need to continue with the brink of whatever brink of anything that will come will actually cause the same effect. So We understand that. Now you stand among us. Think about it. Now you stand among us. That means now you stand among us. And I love that feeling. A testament of to resilience, I love that too, and I can appreciate that. And a reminder that paying attention pays dividends. That's a good thing too, no? Even as your lips tighten against the cold, even then, whispers of distant winds carry dreams of your YORE. Don't even ask me. I hardly even understand the meaning of the word your, YORE. And I don't even know that I'm sure that it is a word, but I love it. So you elevating, whisper of distant winds carry dreams of your, uh, and the elevation of fleeting encounters, the elevation of fleeting encounters to moments of clarity. So when they fleet, because I wanted to get a word between flee and fleet, FLIIT or FLEE or EA, FLEE, FLEETING. So there's something around it encounters why is there moments of clarity while clarity rules and from beginning to end. But that's so self-explanatory. I don't even want to try to explain it. It's not like I know it and you don't. I just don't think that I have what it takes now to convince you. If by now you don't realize that there's a lot of benefits in finding yourself engaging in freestyle and experimentation and improvisations, because it's so like 70s, 80s. But in the process of growth, it's imperative that you will have everything that you indeed have at your disposal as you need it and in the fashion that you need it and in the but then you're grinding the numbers behind the final count because you want to experience more the moments that you have left, because there's scarce any which way you look at it. If you get 100-year guarantee or 100 minutes, it would be the same level of zealousness in order to capture what you suddenly realize that you should have realized all along. And maybe you did, but you weren't aware of its level of its importance, but now it's just smeared all over your face. And then you said the count, brief, slow motion, reach after reach gets closer. Before it was a strap of an unknown hour, but you let it go with so much grace. Uh, it's just we're talking about increasing value. This is a moment of increasing value, and we have a steady part in its formation. And it's like meeting lane houses on the hill. It's like I was always wondering about this street named Meeting Lane. Uh, it's lovely to think that people were meeting somewhere at a certain point, certain corner, and they call it Meeting Lane. House Meeting Lane or Farm Meeting Lane, meeting in the corner of the lane and the farm and and whatnot. And then even draw in the attempt to turn. It is so I mean, listen to this. When one wants to create a long sentence, that not only that by the definition, it being so long is already like freestyle, and the contents of it magnifies the endless probabilities and possibilities in the name of that which is entertaining and challenging and maybe even somewhat dangerous. But and then before finally the race slows down to become pleasant fast walk into that which are familiar, into that which shines with cause a familiar conviction made it clear we will never be the no holds bar of the upcoming ultimate chore. Sentence 1. Sentence 2. The gathering in the place of holy shone all the way down the slope of Mary through the heart, by now transparent, yet keeps up all alive, no doubt about it. Let's go to the beginning of number 1. And then before finally the race slows down to become a pleasant fast walk into that which shines with cause, a familiar conviction made it clear we will never be the no holds bar of the upcoming ultimate chore. Sentence 2. The gathering in the place of holy shone all the way down the slope of Mary through the heart, by now transparent, yet keeps us all alive, no no doubt about it. Let's go to the beginning of sentence 1. And then before finally the race slows down to become a pleasant fast walk into that which shines with cause, a familiar conviction made it clear we will never be the no holds bar of upcoming ultimate chore. Sentence number 2. The gathering in the place of holy shone all the way down the slope of Mary through the heart, by now transparent, yet keeps us all alive, no doubt about it. So this I can do the way I just did now because I'm a drummer. And I don't know if I'm a great drummer all around, but I know that I'm a great drummer in the style that I chose, and I'm kind of responsible in shaping. And the style allows me to do rhythms um, that are patterns, but not because I am intending and intentionally playing patterns, but it's the attitude that makes it. So just like I did these two, I can take a few bars, maybe four bars of four. Okay, so it's like if you say sentence number 2, go to the sentence number T. That it really matters as much as it doesn't matter at all. Like, but you don't want to hear yourself. You hear yourself say it doesn't matter because then you become sloppy. Because even in the heart and the height of experimental expression, you cannot end up you cannot create something that is repelling. You want things to look good, to smell good, to feel good, and to be good, and to deliver the goods. It's stuff, creativity. But in the same token, you want to maintain playfulness and the fact that you can find yourself in the middle, feeling actually pretty centered and knowing to begin with, at the very beginning, before the beginning, what are the benefits and why you're there? But all the answers, all the, you know why you're there, you know why you're doing what you're doing, why you're there, while you're doing this and that and all that. Uh, and I will finish by um, give you like what do we have? Just to mention, it's Tuesday morning, August 6th, year 2024, here with the Halolo Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. Unveiled Echoes, the title of the show we have here by Fanny Ulin and Victor Kerpel. The opening reception is Saturday, August 17th, 4 to 7. And so much more art, music, and whatnot. And let me just fade away vis a vis that I'm saying. Um, slight brisk, lone smell of sodium break at best to be the lone bride and respite at hand. This is whispering, contemplating. Slight brisk and lone smell of sorting break, at best to be the lone bride and the respite at hand. Blend with pearls of a slash toy, what a spectacle, what a spectacle. Frequent and slow to refine a harsh terror of terror, poetic glowing fitting to unite as cross leap glares, well searched and crawled by impact. I love it. Actually, it's uh, it's pretty good. Cross leap glares and okay. So I guess let me conclude and thank you for your patience. You know, some of these monologues of mine are kind of challenging. I want to express myself, but I want to express myself not out of externalizing my presence and my anything that relates to any kind of importance, but rather that this stage exists. I've been doing it for a million years, and this whole idea of public access is a joy any which way you look at it, and I wanted to share, and I want to share it with you, and I am somewhat successful. I mean, the other day someone approached me out of absolutely nowhere, not in a million years that I thought he's watching my show, but he did, and he said some great things, and I said, you know what the heck, wow. So we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this morning, Tuesday morning, August 6th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show at LTV, Eastern Long Island, at the east end of Long Island. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. God bless. Don't be a stranger. LTV is open to everyone. Art, music, theater, and whatnot. So, all of the above. And enjoy. We got 4 more weeks to conclude this wonderful season here at the east end of Long Island. God bless.